Hey everyone, it's Calvin from Cagefront here. Welcome back to the channel, and if you are new here, welcome to the channel. We have just had UFC Fight Night, Jared Cannonier versus Gregory Robocop Rodrigues, and the middleweight division continues to deliver in February. It has been amazing, from Izzy and Imavov with Dricus and Strickland, and now Cannonier and Gregory Rodrigues. Now, the card itself as well, through the spine of it, it did honestly deliver as well. We had some really good finishes on the card. We had Edmund Shabazian getting a very nice finish, and we also had guys lower down the card like Valter Walker getting nice finishes as well, and especially Gabriel Bonfim, which we will get into. But I did pretty well on this card, went 10 out of 12 on predictions and got 7 perfect predictions on this card. So I only lost out to the Khaos Williams prediction and the Jared Cannonier prediction. So speaking of Jared Cannonier, let's look at the main event, which I'm giving Jared Cannonier the performance of the night, as well as between the two of them, I'm giving them fight of the night as well. It was just a nutty fight from the opening bell, and that's just what you're going to get from Gregory Rodrigues. He came out just guns a-blazing, and definitely a 10-8 round from him. I mean, he just did not allow Cannonier to breathe whatsoever. He dropped him twice in the exchanges when they were trading. But man, Cannonier, this guy just doesn't die. I mean, he showed the heart, he showed the experience, especially to pace himself, survive the first round, pace himself, get through the second, really just, I mean, his durability was fantastic, but really digging deep and paying dividends with the body shots, going through to the second, through to the third, and I mean, just the change of pace completely. Gregory Rodrigues, I will say, I did have him by a KO TKO towards the second or the third round, but that's with me thinking at least his stamina would be somewhat passable. I mean, it just was not looking good. He had a little tiny bit of a second win in the third round, but Cannonier was just gaining so much momentum. There was just no hope. Cannonier was landing like 4 shots to his 1, and it was just so clean in the clinch. He was landing very nice shots to the body, just ripping him up, just tearing him apart, to be honest. I mean, he gassed so much, and on top of that, magnifying it with all the body shots from Cannonier. It just shows that he's honestly just such a veteran, and he 100% deserved this win. Now, who does Cannonier fight next? Now, I think he will either fight the winner of Brendan Allen and Anthony Hernandez, Fluffy, when that takes place at Seattle next week for the co-main event, which is going to be a banger. 100% keen for that, which I think Fluffy will probably get that win. I just think he's got so much momentum. He's looking so dynamic when it comes to the feet and on the ground, and granted, the ground game, it's probably pretty even, but I think the striking overall, Fluffy has just shown just a better caliber when it comes to his tools on the feet, especially with what we got to see with him against Michel Pereira getting late into their fight there. So it's either that, or, which is, it's a bit tricky because we've got Cannonier, who has literally lost to pretty much every single person above him at some stage. But when we look at time gone by, we could potentially see a Whitaker rematch. I wouldn't be surprised with that if it's going to be any of those guys. But aside from, I think it's honestly going to be the winner of Brendan Allen and Fluffy Hernandez, to be honest. Now, looking at the co-main event between Calvin Kattar and Youssef Zalal, I don't have any awards here particularly, but Zalal just looked very comfortable, very confident, looked very good in the first and the second round. He utilized the jab very well, and his kickboxing has definitely come to a new level, especially since, you know, his first stint in the UFC. I mean, consistent jab, putting liver kicks behind it as well. But I will say, I mean, aside from his movement was absolutely fantastic. His actual lateral movement with his body and his head movement slipping Kattar's shots. He was very, very elusive on the outside. But the issue I did see was the third round, and I'm sure you guys can agree with me. Calvin Kattar was pressing him hard, and he just did not have many options. He definitely lost that last round. He was pretty much running away from Kattar the whole entire time. He just needs to be more confident on that front foot, especially when the opposition is coming forward as well, because he's got the durability. I mean, he's never been finished. He's never been submitted. I mean, I don't know why he can't rely on it a bit more. I mean, if he can really get some longer combinations just stringing together and have confidence in those hands, I think we could see a lot of success from him, because coming back from the UFC into the UFC, this is his first decision. I mean, he's submitted every single opposition beforehand, so he's got that momentum, he's got that confidence. If he can just show that proper game on the feet, that dangerous game, he is going to be extremely dangerous and definitely a top 5 contender, because the guy is on a 7-fight win streak. Now, who does he fight? I think he's either got to face like Arnold Allen, because Arnold Allen isn't booked at the moment. It's a bit tricky in terms of timing with Arnold Allen because he hasn't fought in a while, and depending on how much time Youssef Zalal wants off, because I believe Arnold Allen will be fighting pretty soon. Or potentially, which I'm actually liking more, is a fight between Zalal and Aljamain Sterling, because grappling wise, I mean, we know Aljo is extremely good at the wrestling. He's got the submission game there, but then we have Youssef Zalal, who has shown an incredibly improved grappling based game with those submissions that he does have. And I'm very keen for another Evloya versus Aljo based kind of fight. I mean, I love those grappling based exchanges. And if it does cancel out, I mean, that gives the opportunity for both Aljo and Zalal to prove themselves on the feet to see if one can get the better of the other. Now, when we look at Calvin Kattar, obviously a bit tough for him, but I mean, look, the third round, he did show the urgency and he was listening to his corner then, but the first and second round, he just was not urgent enough at all, and the fight just completely slipped by him. He could have won this fight, especially as being an underdog that big. He could have won this fight if there was more pressure from the get-go. Don't know what was happening with them though, honestly, I couldn't say. But when we look at his matchup, I would like to see him against another kickboxer, just pure base kickboxer, and make it just a veteran fight. Calvin Kattar versus Edson Barboza. Kattar, originally 10th ranked, now Youssef Zalal's taking that from him. Edson Barboza is 15th ranked, so there's still that ranking-based opportunity for him there. I mean, to be fair, Edson Barboza is probably going to get pushed out of the rankings, but even so, if Kattar's still in there, it gives Edson Barboza the opportunity to get that ranking back. So it'll be interesting to see if he can do the exact same thing that he did to Giga Chikadze and push Edson Barboza on the back foot and have just an amazing momentum swinging fight against Barboza. Or could Barboza be the first person to actually clean take him out? Definitely make that fight. Now, looking at the finish of the night award, look, credit to Delgado and Cannonier. I mean, Shabazian as well, and Valter Walker, especially early too. I mean, there's a lot of great finishes on this card. But Gabriel Bonfim, he was just fantastic. I mean, his finish was absolutely brutal, but he faced some adversity to get it, because Khaos, he had a good first round. He was the aggressor, he was landing more shots on the feet, and even when he got taken down, he reversed it pretty quickly and managed to get back up on his feet. He took that first round. But Bonfim, getting into that second round, he was opening up on the feet fantastically well. And bear in mind, utilizing the jab extremely well with a 4.5-inch reach disadvantage in this fight. It just very impressive on the feet in terms of his composure against a guy with that much power. It's really showing improvement in his kickboxing game. And obviously his ability to transition on the ground is just second to none. It's fantastic. His ability to transition to Khaos's back was ridiculously impressive. It was so smooth. And just the finishing sequence, that's what we're here to talk about. I mean, he gets the double leg, gets Khaos to the ground, but Khaos throws him off. But as Khaos throws him off and frames up and tries to get up, sinks in that Darce choke. Nice. Sinks, like cinches it in, but then readjusts and just, I mean, completely takes him out. I mean, he was just stiff as a fucking board. I don't know what to say. It was ridiculous. You look at this photo of him, I mean, absolutely gasping for air. Never seen a guy get submitted like this and just be stiff as a board. He looked like he was dead. And that's against a guy, against Khaos Williams, where he's just a guy that I could not picture that happening to. I mean, extremely impressive by Bonfim. Now, looking at him with a finish like that against a guy that dangerous, need to see him back up near that top, like close to those rankings. And I would love to see him against Rinat Fakhretdinov. I think that that's a very good fight to make because Rinat's got the wrestling base there. He's on a killer win streak, as controversial as that is from his last fight. And also he's got the striking there with like very, very good power in his hand. So there's a lot for Bonfim to deal with, but if he can get through someone that's that well-rounded and break a win streak like that, top 15, here he comes. And from one Brazilian to the next, we're looking at the Fighter to Watch award, and I got to go all the way down the card and give it to Valter Walker. Him getting that heel hook submission against Don'Tale Mayes in that first round was very impressive because he's just gotten 2 heel hook submissions in a row. When was the last time any heavyweight did that? Unless you're like Frank Mir or something. I mean, extremely, extremely impressive. His ground game is very dynamic, and it's a very good dynamic itself to bring to the heavyweight division that is so one-dimensional and is lacking a lot. Because aside from like Aspinall and Jailton Almeida and Sergey Spivak, really, there's no ground game artists there, and it's just going to be a really good test for a lot of fighters moving through that heavyweight division to just put a statement out to be more well-rounded. Because if you're going against Valter Walker and he gets you to the ground, you better have something there. You can't just be just a swang and bang fighter, otherwise your ankle's getting snapped. So honestly, Valter Walker, very impressive, 100% deserving of the top 15 spot now, and I'm happy he's there because he's bringing that diversity when it comes to the stylistic landscape of the heavyweight division. And also, he gives Johnny Walker something to be happy about because Johnny Walker, he's a bit down bad at the moment. So very, very impressive there for Valter Walker. Now, who do I want to see him fight next? Want to see him fight someone that's a bit more crafty and does have that kind of base that can challenge that ground game. So maybe someone like a Rogerio de Lima, who is a very good boxer and can deal with ground game artists, or possibly even Shamil Gaziev, Big Daddy Gaziev, because of his strength. I mean, Gaziev does have the submission game, and he is obviously a clearly good boxer in terms of the power generation. We saw what happened to Thomas Peterson. I think that could definitely be a good challenge for Valter Walker, either Rogerio de Lima or Big Daddy Gaziev. Now, I hope you enjoyed the fight night, and I hope you enjoyed today's recap video. And if you want to see more MMA-based content, definitely check out the video on the screen, and I will catch you in the next one.